In this tutorial, we're going to take our model rocket at whatever stage we've got to so far, regardless of whether you've done the extension tutorials to add the aerial on the top and all the other wee things like the windows and so on. So if you've just got your basic rocket shape, you can progress this next stage. First of all, if you have any work planes that are still visible that you don't want to be able to see, if you look for them over in the browser at the side here, you'll see that you can right click on them and you just turn off their visibility, and that'll just tidy the whole thing up. So if we go to the origin folder, we've got that other one that's visible there. So we'll just make them invisible. Now we need to create a new file type, because what we're actually going to be doing is modeling or creating a drawing from the model that we have. And on this drawing here, you'll see that we have a range of views. So hopefully you'll recall from doing some orthographic sketching that we have the elevation, end elevation, and plan views. And so to create those, we're simply going to create a new file, which is a drawing file in Inventor. So we go to File, New, and what's important is, as always, we make sure we're selecting files from the metric folder. We go into there, and if we scroll down, we should find that there is an option for what we call a BSI IDW. Now that last wee bit stands for Inventor Drawing. So we want to use that. We can either double click on it or click on it once, then click Create. And then having done so, we get a blank template. Now, normally what we would do is create a new border, our own border, and our own title block with information that we needed. So I'm going to cover that very quickly. The first thing you do is you delete the default border at the sides here, and then you right click and you delete the default title block. You can then create a sketch on the page which allows you to draw your own border and title block, and we'll just keep it simple. Simply just do a rectangle, leaving a fairly even gap around the edge of the page, something like that. And that gives us our border. And we will also need to add in the title block. So the title block contains some information. In our case, it's going to contain your name, the date, the scale, the title of the drawing, and a symbol for the third angle projection. Now, depending on how much time you have, if you're running a wee bit behind, you might want to skip this step because it's not tremendously important. It's just a useful skill for if you were to take graphic communication in S3 and 4. So anyway, going on to making the title block, if we look at the example one, we've got 4 sections here and then a bigger one. So what I'll do is I will just click in the corner here with my rectangle tool, and I'm going to make the bigger box first of all. Then I'm going to do a smaller box inside that, and I'm going to divide that up by doing 2 other boxes, and you'll see that when we hover over the middle of these lines, we actually get a little marker, so it's easy to divide it equally. Likewise here, we can divide that up equally. So we could just do 2 more boxes joining together, and that will give us our 4 sections. You can then add in your information in here, so you would use the text tool, and you just click and drag a little box. We would put everything in block capitals in a technical drawing. And we could put in the date. So today is the 2nd. Ignore that. It is 2020. And so on. I'm not going to continue going through all the details here because you can figure that out for yourself. As I say, if we look at the example, you should see that we'd have the name, date, scale, and the title. The bit I wanted to quickly show you is this third angle projection symbol. And this is an important feature of orthographic drawings that tells us which way around the views relate to each other. So that tells us that when we look at this view, the plan will be above the elevation, showing a view as though we were looking down, and the end elevation will be shown on the side that we would be standing when we would see it looking like that. So basically this is how the object would look from the right hand side where it's been situated. Now that symbol is pretty straightforward to draw. It's 2 circles, what we'd call concentric circles, aligned in the center, and then another kind of a cut cone on its side, which is what this would look like from the side. So to create that, first thing we're going to do is draw a couple of lines. We want that to be in the middle. So we're going to draw a line here to create a center line. I'm just going to hit the escape key to stop using the line tool. And then I'm going to do another line here to create the cross. And we can, if we don't get them quite right, don't worry about it, because you can just grab them and you can drag them to make them longer or shorter. And we're going to do the first circle and then the second circle. And what's important about the next part is that for this kind of cut cone shape, the edges at this corner here need to line up with the, or the edges at the corners need to line up with the concentric circles. So we need to do a wee kind of, well, it's quite clever actually. If you hover over this point here, you see you got a dotted line. So that little dotted line tells us I'm lined up. So I can draw that, and then I can see that I'm lined up at the bottom as well. So that's my first line. I can hit escape. And then I'm going to do the same further back. So this time I'm going to get a line from that point. And I'm just going to draw it like that until it's lined up with the outside circle. And then I'm just going to join them up here. And that's it done. The last thing I need to do is change these lines. If we right click on a line, we can change its properties by going into here and just going into there, and we want to choose long dash, where are we? Chain line, there we go, that's the one we want to use. So we want to choose chain line for that, and likewise with this one here, right click on it, properties, and we want to change that to a chain line as well. Okay, so if you've done that and you've added in your other information, the scale will basically be what size we're making this on the page relative to the size it would be in real life. And the title of the drawing you can just use your own common sense to do.